So the topic is the CNS. It's a central nervous system. The central nervous system is the most important organ in the body, and they control all the sensory and the motor reflexes in the body. So the CNS, it contains CNS, it having mainly it divided into the three region. First one, that is the forebrain, then midbrain and the hindbrain. The forebrain we will consist into the, that is the frontal lobe, then the temporal lobe, the hypothalamus, then the optic chiasm, the mammillary body, then the thalamus, the pituitary gland, corpus callosum, etc. Then the middle midbrain, it consists of the, that is the limbic lobe, that is the central sulcus. The central sulcus, it divide brain into the two equal parts. Then the parietal lobe, then the parieto-occipital sulcus, then the occipital lobe, then the pineal gland, then the hindbrain, it consists of the cerebellum, then pons, then medulla oblongata and the spinal cord. The corpus quadragemina, it divided the brain into the it separate the brain from midbrain to hindbrain. Then the in the brain, it consists of the meninges. There are meninges means what? It's a three fluid containing membrane. It's called as the meninges. The meninges are surrounded by the bone. The spinal meninges from the tube like the covering around the spinal cord, and that is covering around the spinal cord. It's called as the meninges. Then the dura mater, which is tough outer layer that lines to the vertebral canal. The pie mater and the arachnoid mater, that's called as the meninges. Pie, arachnoid and the dura. Then the arachnoid means what? It is the column-like. It is the column-like, which is the Greek word for the spider. The meninges, that from protecting covering around the spinal cord. The cerebrospinal fluid, that is the CSF, present in the subarachnoid space in the brain and the spinal cord. The CSF, it forms the continually from fluid filtering out from the blood in the network of a brain capillaries known as the choroid plexus and into the ventricles. The brain stem, second part, that is the brain stem. It is the lowest part of the brain, is the medulla oblongata. It's called as the brain stem. The medulla oblongata is the enlarged upward extension of a spinal cord. The medulla oblongata, it consists of the gray and white matter. Functions. Its function, it regulates the heart rate, blood pressure, breathing and other, including the movement. Then second part, that is the pons varolii, the mainly of the nerve fiber forming a bridge between the hemispheres of a cerebrum. That's functions, it is the relays the impulse between the medulla oblongata and the superior of the brain between the hemisphere of a cerebellum. The midbrain, it contains the part that is the corpora quadragemina and the cerebral peduncle, that is the cura cerebri. The corpora quadragemina, two pairs of rounded protrusions present in the upper and superior surface of a midbrain are called as the corpora quadragemina. Then the diencephalon, that is the epithalamus, forms anterior choroid plexus, short pineal stalk, have pineal body, secrete the hormone in the melatonin. It secretes the melatonin. The thalamus, it contains the gray matter, dumb shell shape section. It forms the lateral wall of a third ventricles. It helps to produce the sensation. Then the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus, it lies above the pituitary gland and is attached to it by stalk called as the infundibulum. Then the cerebellum. The cerebellum is the second largest part of the brain. It lies under the occipital lobe of a the second part of the brain, that is the cerebrum. It is the largest and the most complex part of the human brain, consists of the left and right hemispheres, connected the corpus callosum. Then the cerebral cortex forms the outermost portion of the cerebrum and makes up a gray matter. The surface of a cortex is a highly folded, forming the gyrus and altered with the sulci. Gyrus and sulci. The deepest sulci is called as the fissures. Spinal cord, that is the 42 to 45 centimeter long, extends from the medulla oblongata and is continuous to the level of a second lumbar vertebra. It conducts the impulses to the from the brain and controls most of the reflex activities. It is formed of two types of the neural tissues: internal gray matter and outer white matter. Then the reflex arc. Both external and internal stimuli are received, interpret the acted on. It's called as the reflex arc. A complete pathway through the nervous system from the stimulus to responses is termed as the reflex arc. Then the neuron. Neurons means the structure of a neuron. It contains the zoma, then the dendron, dendrioles, dendrites, nucleus, Schwann cell, axon, node of Ranvier, axon terminals, myelin sheath, then the synaptic knob, etc. Then it's a generation and propagation of action of a potential. That is it is a rapid change in the polarity that moves along the nerve fiber. It's called as the action potential. That is repolarization and a depolarization of a nerve. Then the some enzymes or the neurotransmitter present in the brain. That is first one. This is the acetylcholine. It was the first neurotransmitter discovered in 1921. That is 90% loss of acetylcholine in the brain. People that suffering from the Alzheimer disease. Then second one, that is the second one, that is the neuroepinephrine. It's also called as the noradrenaline and dopamine, that is the inhibitory neurotransmitter. Then the GABA. GABA is also called as the gamma aminobutyric acid. It also the inhibitory neurotransmitter. Then the glutamate. Glutamate is an existatory relative of the GABA. Serotonin. Serotonin is an inhibitory neurotransmitter that has been founded in the intimately involved emotional and mood. Then the endorphin, that is the endogenous morphine. It is the inhibitory neurotransmitter. The some important areas in the brain. That is first one, this is the motor area. It lies into the frontal lobe. Then second one, that is sensory area. It lies into the parietal lobe and receives the impulse from the receptor. Then the frontal lobe, it's a movement, then the problem solving ability, concentrations, thinking, behavior and personality. Then the Broca's area, it lies into the frontal lobe and it controls the speech and their talking ability. The parietal lobe, that is the sensations, languages, perceptions, body awareness, then the attention, etc. The occipital lobe, its main function, it's a vision and the perception. The vernix area. The vernix area, it lies into the left temporal lobe and languages comprehension. Then the cerebellum, it is the posture, balance, coordination of the movement. It has been its function. Then the brainstem, it is the consciousness, breathing and the heart rate. Controls the consciousness, breathing and heart rate. The temporal lobe, it controls the hearing, language, memory and emotions. There are all the functions of a brain and its areas. The second one type of a brain, that is the autonomic nervous system. The autonomic nervous system is classified into the two types, that is ANS and PNS. Peripheral nervous system. It's divided into the two types, that is the autonomic nervous system and a somatic nervous system. So The somatic nervous system, it consists into the two types, that is sensory neuron and a motor neuron. The sensory neuron means what? They conveys the informations from the somatic receptor in the head, body wall, limbs, and forms the receptor from the special senses of vision, hearing, taste, and smell to the CNS. Then the motor neurons, they conduct the impulses from CNS to skeletal muscle. And the ANS, it's a autonomic nervous system. It also having the sensory and motor neuron. The ANS sensory neuron, they conveys the informations from autonomic sensory receptor located primarily in the visceral organs such as the stomach and lungs to the CNS. The motor neurons, they conduct their nerve impulses from the CNS to smooth muscles, cardiac muscles, and the glands. So the sensory receptors, that having the afferent neuron, and the PNS, it's having the efferent neurons. PNS, it having the afferent neuron, and the PNS motor neuron, it having the efferent neurons. The sensory receptors, it's having the sense, right, hearing, then the smell, taste, etc. And the internal environment, that is the autonomic, chemoreceptor, baroreceptor, osmoreceptors, etc. The efferent organs, that is the in the somatic, it is the skeletal muscle, and in the autonomic, it's the cardiac muscle and the smooth muscle and the glands. So glands, it having the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. So the today's topic is covered. Thank you.